Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, football fans. Welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast. The team this week is me, Bruce Millington, along with Mark Langdon and Dan Childs in the studio, and over at Power Towers in Ireland, we've got Paddy Power's Jason Murphy. Loads of domestic football to get stuck into as the battles for all the top divisions resume after the international break, and the boys will have all their very best bets. But before that, we will review a really interesting international week of action in the 6 questions, 2 each, and then the lads answer the one they wish they'd been asked. So, Dan Childs, we'll start with you. Which countries had the best start to the Euro 2020 qualifier?
Oh, well, I'd say it's probably England. I know that the games you expect them to win anyway, but it's the manner of the performances as well. I thought it started a little bit slowly against the Czechs, but grew into the game. Sterling was obviously fantastic, and the Montenegro game I was even more impressed. Just to respond from a goal down in a hostile atmosphere, and the manner that we played off the ball as well as on the ball. Everybody's working for each other. Looked a really slick side. It was like watching, one of like Germany when they were going really, really well. I just thought everybody knew their jobs. It was just such a clinical, impressive performance, and I can see them. I know they've been back strongly, but I think that's worthy, really. I think they've got a great chance next time.
How can that team get better? Who's to come in?
Well, you've got the defence is the obvious one with Gomez and Stones, who are not there to come in. That would have been tested. That will be tested more by better teams, but you have got better players to come in. So I don't see too many weaknesses there now throughout the team, especially with Rice now coming into midfield. He looks a really good option in there. That was spoken about as an area of weakness. I thought Henderson he's improving all the time for me on the international stage. Looking at him in the game against Montenegro, when he came on, his passing range is impressing me now. He's starting to not just break up play, but he's looking good on the ball as well. I think there's so many positives for England.
Yeah, it's all looking good, isn't it? And Mark, who got off to bad starts? Who would you say, blimey, we bogeyed the first couple of holes?
Well, I suppose Portugal of the bigger, they're the holders, aren't they, of the bigger nations. The hard enough games, I suppose, against Ukraine and Serbia. Ronaldo going off injured early against Serbia obviously wasn't what would have been sort of hoped for. But
Jason and I, by the way, are on Ajax at hundreds for the Champions League. Is he back for that?
He says he knows his body and he'll be back.
He certainly does know his body. He spends all day looking at it.
He does. I mean, of the big nations, it would be them. I mean, of sort of the home nations, I mean, Scotland are an absolute joke. The Kazakhstan performance is just ridiculous. I mean, I heard a rumour that they turned the heating up, and so they closed the roof, turned the heating up, and made it difficult. But Russia sort of went there, won easily a couple of days later. Not having this Robertson having the old dental surgery, but being back for San Marino. Surely you do that the other way around. That Kazakhstan was the harder game. He's meant to be the captain. There are other players that cried off. When a team's going well, like if you go back to when Wales, we sort of doing well for Euro 2016, everybody turned up every single time. The amount of absentees, and I think it happens with Ireland as well. Under Martin O'Neill, there seems to be more and more players crying off. There's clearly problems there. I spoke to our Scottish writer Mark Walker, because he's part of the Tartan Army, or at least he was part of the Tartan Army. He's refusing to go. He went to Marbella and watched the under-21s instead, because there were a few Tartan Army on my plane to Venice, sort of making their way down to San Marino, and he hasn't got many good things to say about the Tartan Army either. He thinks they're to blame for not holding to account the manager and the FA. He thinks they just want to have a good time. I won't say exactly.
There's no harm in that, is there?
Yeah, well, he says, but
we all do.
Yeah, I won't say exactly what he says, but his idea is that they only want to go to the fountains, lift their kilts up and have a pint, whereas really they should be calling the SFA to attention more often. But and then against San Marino, I mean, they nearly conceded to them, which would have been it was a nervous moment for those that took the 4-9 on them to win to 0. It shouldn't have been that difficult.
Okay, well, Jason, first, before I give you your first question, just give us the latest show on Euro 2020.
Yeah, so France World Cup winners still favourites at 7-2. You have England 5-1, Spain 6-1, Belgium and Germany both 7-1. You have Holland 12-1, Italy 14s, Portugal drifting to 20s, and Croatia out to 22.
This isn't your question, but Jason, very quickly, each of you, just give me the name of the team you'd back now if I gave you a free tenner. Jason.
Holland, Netherlands.
Mark.
England.
And Dan.
England, I just want to give one mention to Serbia at 80s, and I think they're a bit overpriced.
Okay. Right, Jason. Who's best, Sancho or Hudson-Odoi?
It's a good question. I do feel the Champions League, that what we've seen, what the English teams have done to German teams, would suggest that the standard of the Bundesliga maybe isn't as good as what we would expect, and therefore you have to put a bit of context into Sancho's performances. But having said that, as an Irishman, I'd be very glad to have either of them in my team anyways. They're both quality players, and the future is bright for England. And look, Hudson-Odoi, he has to start getting a bit more game time with Chelsea, as I'd imagine he's going to stay there now with the transfer ban down the line as well. They can't be letting players go. But yeah, either of them would be very good in any team for me.
I wonder if Ireland checked to see whether that Odoi is O''DOI. You might have been able to get him in there. Top half finish, Dan. Is there any value here? I'll give you the prices. Paddy Power go 1 to 50 Wolves, 1 to 10 Watford, 4 to 11 Leicester, 4 to 5 West Ham, 4 to 5 Everton, 2 Bournemouth, 9 Palace, 16 Bar. This works both ways. Is there value to finish in the top 10, and is there value to finish outside the top 10?
I think the Leicester are, what were they, 4 to 5? Did you say that?
Yeah.
I think Leicester would be the one. They do seem to be picking up, under Rodgers. Wouldn't be surprised to see them go on a run. I mean, I know I'm looking, because I follow Watford a lot, at teams that could threaten that, battle for 7th, and it looks like it's between Watford, West Ham and Wolves, but I think Leicester are the one that are a little bit off because they're putting a decent run together, could threaten that. So I'd say Leicester.
There's a big game in the top 10 battle. Leicester entertain Bournemouth this weekend. OK, Mark, the Championship top 4 in order will be as follows.
Oh, that is a...
I'll give you the show from Paddy Power. Okay. 4 to 7 Norwich, 3 Sheffield United, 9 to 2 Leeds, and 125 the Throssels.
Yeah, I've West Brom 4th. I'm pretty confident about that. I mean, I've got Norwich down as being... I'll go Norwich 3rd, but I mean, they've got a little bit of a lead now. I'm still not totally convinced by them. I thought that the way that sort of Swansea outplayed them for a lot of that game on the other Friday night just wouldn't surprise me if they went on a 3-game losing run. I'll go...
Struggling.
I am struggling. I'll go Leeds 2nd, Sheffield United 1. I really like Sheffield United. I don't want to give away too many secrets, but I like Sheffield United. I think they've been the best team, sort of most consistent sort of unexpected goals for a while.
Do you like the manager?
I do, yeah. I mean, it's the funny one, isn't it? Because I think Chris Wilder's is one of those that would have got a Premier League job sort of 15 years ago, sort of, he would have been the one that even maybe a sort of a decent sort of top flight team would have taken a chance on, but it kind of works differently now.
It does. Okay, Jason, the Solskjaer appointment, he's been given a 3-year deal today. Is it the right move by United, or is it a little too early, do you think?
Well, I think a decision had to be made when you're looking for forward planning, and they've announced their pre-season tour, so a decision had to be made, so the timing is right. The right decision, though, I still don't agree with it. Like I pointed out previously, the body of work isn't there. We haven't seen him given a big budget at a big club. Now, albeit he has come in, he's been a massive success since he came in. But again, the starting point, like most people coming in after Mourinho there, wouldn't have found it too difficult, I would argue, to turn things around. And if you look at the numbers as well, United have been getting away with it in some games. I know it was an unbelievable run, but the underlying numbers did not back up the results either. If you were looking at betting, say, for the Premier League next season, we were discussing it in the office this morning, and we would argue that the Solskjaer appointment would arguably, push United's price out. So say if you had United maybe 5 to 1, 6 to 1 to win the league, we've actually pushed them out to 8 to 1 on site now.
Are you betting on it already?
Well, we just stuck up the special just with the news this morning. So United to win the Premier League next year, you can get it there at 8 to 1. Whereas if it had been the likes of Allegri or Pochettino announced, that 5 to 1 is going the other way as far as I'm concerned.
Wow.
Even Zidane coming in, well, obviously he can't come in now, but just a big name attracts big players. And I don't think Solskjaer would attract anyone that the likes of Zidane, Allegri, Pochettino, maybe bring 1 or 2 Spurs lads with him. Anyone that had come to United, it won't be because of Solskjaer, it's because of the United factor, which is all, it's there with the club anyways.
Jason, don't you? You are going to be very, very exposed to Solskjaer on the sack race next season, because every kind of pseudo-shrewd is going to go, oh no, it's going to all go pop, isn't it? And
that's it, yeah. I mean, even the result against Burnley, they should have lost that game, but the fact that they got the draw late in it kind of kept the feel-good factor there. We haven't had that kind of a bump to really test the wheels on the bus, and see if it stays on the road. Like I said, we're out of the FA Cup, and I think that was a tired performance against Wolves. And Wolves are a very good team, so I'm not surprised by that. And if you look at the numbers, United have outran most teams that they've played since Solskjaer came in. So that's going to catch up with the players, and you'd accept that. The Arsenal result, was a mistake from De Gea, is what I would say. So again, okay, you're not fully taking that as a bad performance, but I'm just. Yeah, like I say, if you could have given a Pochettino or an Allegri, I would have gone that route. But I can understand the appointment, and look, it is what it is now, and we'll see what happens.
Jason sounds worried. Dan, which question are you going to answer?
I'll take the same one. I think it's a bad move for United. I think they've almost kind of done it because there was so much pressure from the fans, and maybe even I'm thinking about the timing of this. At the end of an international break, maybe that was the last period that they might have been looking around to see, putting feelers out to see what alternatives there were, and maybe they've been come back with a few knockbacks. It's just, if you're going to give it to him, you would give it surely more at the start of an international break rather than right at the end of it. I just wonder whether it's actually what they really wanted to do, and some of those results. I mean, the PSG game is one of the big results that they've got in getting through that, and that's lifted his profile more and made him. The reaction to that was he was kind of like the Messiah, and really they could have been absolutely battered, over the course of that tie. Thinking back to, the Burnley game's been mentioned, the Spurs game away. They were, they were battered for a lot of that game. Got away with a 1-0. If just a few of these results go the way they probably should have done, would he be given the job right now? I'm not. There could even be doubts raised by the end of this season if they drop out of the top 4. Lose badly to Barcelona in the Champions League. It could all the pressure changes now, doesn't it? Because now he's
right. They finished
sixth, go
out in the quarterfinals.
Exactly, and now he's seen as he's their future. There's a lot more pressure on him now, and I think that it's not a good move.
And also, Dan, the players are now going to think, okay, this is who we've got. We've been not calling the shots, but he's got player power to contend with.
Absolutely,
hasn't he? Mark, which question are you going to answer?
Want more Solskjaer, or should I?
Give me a quick Solskjaer and then another one.
I think it works out great for everybody for now, because I think that the United fans are happy with him in charge. Most teams like to look forward, but actually they've found their sort of solace by looking backwards and sort of that link back to Ferguson, and Mike Phelan and stuff like that. So I think the fans are happy, and basically, football is for the fans. So if they're happy with Solskjaer, then that's good. I think every other member of that Big Six, though, will be delighted. Yeah. One, because it doesn't really kick United on paper, and obviously the Pochettino link as well. So it's one of them where I think everybody's happy for now, but probably the other 6 will be sort of happy to come sort of the end of next season. I'll take the top half finish one. I wonder if you backed sort of Wolves and Watford, both not particularly, maybe Watford, not to finish in the top half. They're going great at the moment. It's just this FA Cup semi-final and then a final for one of them. I just wonder if you backed them both combined to miss out. Whoever gets through, it's going to be an absolutely massive occasion. Probably lose to Man City, but I'm not sure if the real desire will be there to sort of really finish in the top half. That will open up a spot. I think Leicester will finish with a rattle for sure.
So Jason, if you're 10s on those two to be top half, what are you? Oh no, you're 1 to 50 Wolves and 1 to 10 Watford.
Wolves are probably
so what
okay.
Are you not
Watford
for those two?
Yeah, I'll give you the prices there. So Wolves 25 to 1 not to finish in the top half, and 5 to 1 Watford not to finish in the top half.
I think Wolves probably already got that. I just think Watford
worth a couple of quid maybe.
Yeah, I think Watford are the ones that could fall away.
Thank you, chaps. Let's get stuck into the weekend action, starting with the 12:30 Saturday game at Craven Cottage. Fulham versus Manchester City. City probably one of the shortest away Premier League prices we've ever seen. What's the latest betting?
Yeah, so we go Fulham 16 to 1, the draw 17 to 2, or Man City 1 to 10.
Mark, conjure a bet out of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, really, when, a few years ago, sort of mocking La Liga, well, I mean, not me, but there were people sort of mocking La Liga for these sort of walkover matches, and now in the Premier League, we've got 10s on, shots away from home. Fulham have lost every match against the Big Six. Even when the Chelsea game, I thought they did okay. The Liverpool one, Liverpool looked like they were just strolling around, and when they had to go and win it again, they did. Man City to win to 0 was the way I was looking. 7 of their 9 away Premier League wins have been to 0. I mean, Fulham weren't going to score against Liverpool until the howler.
Do you think Alisson didn't get quite as much criticism as he might have done there? I thought it was pretty timid.
I suppose it was. I mean, he was probably the least culpable, though. I mean, was it Milner's back pass initially, and then Van Dijk, obviously. I suppose he was to blame to some extent, but probably not.
I thought he could have done a bit more.
But if you just have a look at Fulham, I'm just wondering about Mitrovic now, because he was the one really for them that was kind of leading their sort of safety. I suppose it's not really been that much of a charge, is it? But I mean, he was the one that they were pinning their hopes on.
Attempt.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure about. He's a difficult man to keep motivated. I just wonder if he may drift now towards the end of the season. So
drifts down to Selhurst Park next season. I'd have him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, but I think this will be as easy as the odds suggest for Man City.
City to win to 0.
To win to 0, maybe something like 3-0. Correct score?
Daniel?
I think City will win. I think Fulham actually might get a goal here. Since Scott Parker's gone in, I know it's 3 defeats, but the Chelsea game, I thought they played really well. Had chances other than the goal that they scored. Leicester as well kind of grew into the game, and at 1-1, the game could have gone either way. They ended up losing 3-1, 2 late goals. Liverpool, they weren't as impressive, but still to only lose by the odd goal at home to Liverpool is not a bad showing. And I don't think there's any point in them. I think if they had a chance of staying up, they might have saved players for the Watford game Tuesday. I think as it is, I think they can just freedom to give it a go, if you like. And City, I watched against Swansea before the international break, and they were caught on the break quite a lot in that game until the kind of intensity went out of Swansea's play. I thought defensively they didn't look too clever. So no, I think Fulham might nick a goal here. And City to win, and both teams to score odds against for me.
Jason, looking at Watford defence this season, you'd think City could absolutely go to town here, wouldn't you?
Watford or Fulham?
Sorry, Fulham. Pardon me.
I was wondering there. Yeah, no.
Say Watford. That was confusing, wasn't it?
Absolutely, 70 goals, the worst defence in the league this season. And look, Man City. They're looking in a good place right now, coming into the last lap of the season. Stones, De Bruyne, Mendy, Fernandinho, all back in training at the right time. And I wasn't concerned about Man City only winning 1-0 against Bournemouth and West Ham. Like Bournemouth, West Ham, professional footballers, if you want to get 11 men behind the ball, you should be able to do a decent job. And it's a lot easier to destroy than it is to create. But Man City still found a way through those two teams, and they'll easily find a way through Fulham. The match odds don't entice me, so given that we're expecting a few goals, I'm looking in the goal scorer markets and maybe a bit of each way value, all depending on what the lineup is. So I think Sané scored midweek for Germany. Have a look at him each way if he starts. But Bernardo Silva, there's 9-1 out there. If he's one of the front three, that 9-1 then each way is definitely a bet.
Okay. Right, quick break and then we'll do the Saturday 3 p.m. games.
Right, 10 seconds to promote Paddy Power Games. Paddy Power Games, Paddy Power Games, Paddy Power Games. Advertising. It's easy when you know how. Paddy Power. Enough of the nonsense. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back. Let's look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3 p.m. Premier League games. Jason will give us the Paddy Power prices and then we'll have a quick verdict on each. Starting, Jason, with Brighton versus Soton.
Brighton 6-4, draw 2-1, Southampton 15-8.
Mark?
Southampton draw no bet. I think
like Southampton.
I do, yeah. And you have a look at some of their away games. They got the 0-0 at Chelsea. They played really well at Old Trafford. Got done, and I think there was refereeing errors there maybe as well that cost them. They beat Spurs. I was just looking at Brighton. 3 wins in the last 14 Premier League games. They're getting the right side of the margins. They barely did anything at Palace to win that game.
Don't.
I mean, they beat Huddersfield 1-0 in.
They'd lost that. They'd been proper trouble.
They were, yeah. I mean, even the Huddersfield game didn't really do enough to win that, and they did. And then against Millwall in the Cup, it was another one of those where the margins just fell right for them. I think.
Yeah, you will never see a goalkeeping mistake like that
again. No, it was absolutely incredible. I just think that if I'm looking at these two teams and where they could be sort of this time next season, I think we'd love to be on Southampton as outsiders, draw no bet.
Dan?
I'm going to go Brighton, actually. I just think, defensively, I prefer them to Southampton. I think there's a reason why in tight games they are getting the right side of some of these games, especially against teams outside of the Big Six. They're looking at their home record against teams outside of the Big Six. They won 5, drawn 3, lost 1. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I remember last season as well, they were winning a lot of these games that they need to win at home. And I just think that Southampton away from home, they've had a few good performances away to big teams. Their overall away record, 1, 3, drawn 3, lost 9. It doesn't, do it for me at those odds. So I'll go Brighton at 6-4.
And Jason, what's your view?
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of what the boys have said.
Well, they disagree with each other.
Yeah, but the points that they've made are both good points in favour of both teams. Like Brighton's home record over the last 2 seasons has been very, very good. They have got back-to-back wins recently, but prior to that, it was only 1 win in 12. And like you say, it was a real smash and grab against Palace. Whereas Southampton playing a bit better under Hasselhout since he came in after Mark Hughes. Did a big win themselves against Tottenham, but I'm not convinced by them away from home. Looking at the league table and looking at both teams, I can see both teams settling for a draw, neither team chasing the game. Southampton, their last game of the season is at home to Huddersfield, and they only need to pick up about another 8 points to be safe. And Brighton, with those 2 back-to-back wins, have really dug themselves out of a hole. So at the prices, I'd happily back the draw there at 11-5.
Right, that didn't help, did it? Burnley versus Wolves. How do you bet, Jason?
Yes, so Burnley we have priced up at 21-10, the draw 21-10, and Wolves 6-4.
You never know, we might get all 3 tipped here. Dan, go first.
Wolves for me, 6-4 looks a really good bet. I think they're still at the moment going to be quite focused, on, at least until the semi-final, on trying to get their 7th spot. I think that right near the start of the season they were targeting it as a target for them to try and get into the Europa League. I thought they were superb against Man United in that cup game. Should have won by more than 2-1 really. It was a flattering score for United. And Burnley, 4 defeats in a row, they're really right back in trouble. That Leicester game, when you got the whole game virtually against 10 men and you still lose it 2-1. Shocking result for them. Wolves for me.
Okay, Jason?
I think we've seen Wolves struggle against teams outside the top 6. I know Burnley have lost their last 4, like Dan says, and 2 of them were the home games against Palace and Leicester. But I just feel Wolves, they've only won 1 in their last 5 in the league, including a loss at Huddersfield, and it was a late equaliser to avoid a defeat against Newcastle too. So at the prices, I'd be interested in Burnley draw no bet, about 11-10.
You're not allowed to say draw, Mark.
I've got Wolves, draw no bet. I think that this is a very tricky game. I would be confident about Wolves if it wasn't just after an international break. A lot of their players were away. If you had a look at all the Portuguese lads had a couple of tough games, Ukraine and Serbia. Jimenez was away playing for Mexico in the US. So that concerns me, but I just think Burnley are not very good, and so that gives Wolves are quite a bit better than them. So I'll go Wolves, draw no bet. Like I say, if this was a normal Saturday, I'd be more confident. Just after the international break, a little bit nervous. I think that will suit Burnley more than Wolves.
Okay, I'm going with they played for both clubs here. It's Palace Huddersfield. Jason, what's the latest betting?
With Palace 2-5, draw 16-5, and Huddersfield 7-1.
Oh, you can't. 2-5 Palace. What you got? Go on.
Punchin and Hudson.
Yeah, very good.
Sean Scannell.
Sean Scannell, very good. James Vaughan. I had a few actually. Mind you, you've nicked a couple off me there, Mark. Well played. Did Shefki Kuchi play for Huddersfield? He might not have done.
I'm not sure on that one. No.
Okay. Oh, blimey, you've done me there. Okay, we'll have to keep thinking. Jason, it's your turn to go first. 2-5 Palace. Come off it.
Yeah, it is a bit short. I would agree with that, but that's kind of where the market is kind of edging towards. They're obviously giving up on Huddersfield, which I haven't yet. Not for this game. I think Palace's home record has been very poor this season. Only 3 wins in 15 games, and Huddersfield, they were unlucky not to get a result against West Ham last day out, and there is a doubt over Zaha for this game. Wan-Bissaka missing, so I think Huddersfield at the prices, I'd have no issue backing them. Draw no bet at 9-2.
Is Wan-Bissaka definitely out?
Well, according to the research I did last night, no, what I was reading said he was out. Might have changed.
No, disaster. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit nervous back in Palace at them sort of prices when Zaha's not a definite runner. I mean, this is a game where Huddersfield could be relegated. If Southampton and Burnley win, Huddersfield will be down, which is a nice symmetry, really, given that they played their first Premier League game. I'm struggling for a bet. I was maybe looking at Palace to win by 1 goal. I just think here it's such a big game for Crystal Palace. If they win, they get onto 36 points with a much better goal difference than Cardiff. You're asking Cardiff to get to 37. I don't see them getting there. Certainly not them and Burnley, because they've got to play each other. So I think Palace will almost treat this a bit like a cup final, and I think they probably will win. But 1 goal kind of, and then shut up shop.
You think they'll record a little single beforehand and get special suits made for it and all that, yeah?
Yeah, maybe get the white suits out.
Did big Alan Lee play for Huddersfield? Do you remember him? The striker?
Yeah.
I think he may well have done, actually, yeah.
Okay. Right.
Centre forwards.
Dan, what do you like?
No, I think Palace will win this fairly comfortably. I thought I watched them in the last game at Watford. I thought with Michy Batshuayi in there, they're not as bad now without Zaha as they were earlier in the season. Not as reliant on him. He took his goal quite well, Batshuayi, and actually at 1-1, that you could argue they looked the more likely team to win. It wasn't a bad performance. I think Huddersfield are such a poor side, struggle as we know to score goals. So just to get a bit of juice out of the market, Palace and under 3.5 goals, I'm going to go for a shade of odds on.
Okay, I went to the reverse fixture, and I'll tell you what, Palace won 1-0 with a wonder goal by Wilf, but we were absolutely rubbish that day. Honestly, we were terrible. So I don't go into this with any great optimism. It's Leicester v Bournemouth, Jason. How do you price this up?
Yeah, Leicester 4-5, draw 11-4, and Bournemouth 16-5.
What do you think, Mark?
Both teams to score. Leicester, I still think it's priced pretty.
Same old song.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, it's 20 times now both teams have scored. Bournemouth with Brooks and Wilson back gives them a bit of oomph in the final third. Leicester are very good going forward. Not sure about them defensively.
Okay, Dan?
I'm going to go with a draw at 11-4. I just think Leicester are short enough at that price. If I was just asked, straight off who's going to win the game, I would favour Leicester more. But looking at the odds, Maguire's out as well for Leicester, which is obviously a big blow defensively. He's suspended. Wilson and Brooks, as Mark said, back to full fitness for Bournemouth. So they're dangerous enough. Draw for me.
And Jason.
Yeah, I'd be leaning towards Leicester, but the angle, I'm going to go the goal scorer route. Bournemouth, if you took them on their last 20 games, they'd be in the relegation zone, and they've only 1 clean sheet in 7. Leicester have scored in 11 of their last 12 games, so if Leicester scores a goal, who scores it? Jamie Vardy. Now, there's one bookmaker out there has him priced up at 4-1 for first goal scorer. If you do the maths, I reckon that bookmaker is giving Vardy about 31% of Leicester's goals. Now, we scored 12 goals this season for Leicester, and Leicester have scored 40 Premier League goals, so that equates to 30%. But he hasn't been on the pitch for every minute of those Leicester goals. He missed a couple of games through suspension, so I definitely have Vardy in for a lot more than just 30% of Leicester's goals. So based on that, first goal scorer 4-1 looks very, very good.
Excellent, I shall back him. And finally, Man U v Watford, Jason.
Yeah, so we go Man United 2-5, draw 7-2, and Watford 13-2.
Who's the better 2-5 shot, Man United or Palace, do you think, Dan?
If I was had to be pushed, I'd say Palace just, yeah.
What do you think of this game then?
I still think United will probably win, and I'm going to go similar kind of route, actually. Odds against this time, Man United to win an under 3.5 goals. Looking at United's games in 5 of their Premier League home games, they've scored 3 or more. All of those were against bottom half teams. They've never scored more than 3 or more goals at home to a top half team. Watford, I would be looking at maybe a lay as value, but I just wonder if they might rest a few players. You've got Fulham at home on the Tuesday, then the Cup semi-final. If they're going to rest players, it might be here. But I think United to win, but it won't be a goal fest.
Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines of Dan, but I'd make a different argument. I would say that, Watford would play their cup team in this game, get a run out lads playing for places, and then just completely rest against Fulham. You could probably beat Fulham with the second string anyways. So for me, at the prices, United with their doubts as well over Rashford, Martial, Matic, Shaw, Lukaku, there's some injured and tired players there. So for me, Watford or the draw at 2-1 is a fine bet for me.
And who do you like, Mark?
The draw at half-time. I mean, we've seen Watford, they collapsed at Liverpool, but other than that, they made it very difficult for City, Arsenal and Tottenham in their away matches. I just wonder if Solskjaer may have the bench loaded. Some of them players there, if they're not fully fit, may come back or off the bench, and that could be the deciding factor. So maybe draw half-time, Man U full-time, but I think I'd rather just play the draw half-time.
Okay, the BT cameras will be rolling at 5:30 at West Ham as the Ammers take on Everton. It's the Saturday evening live fixture and Paddy Power bet as follows.
Yeah, we've West Ham 7-5, draw 23-10, and Everton 15-8.
You can go first, Jason. This is tough.
Yeah, it's Jekyll versus Hyde, but who's going to be Jekyll and who's going to be Hyde? It's Everton are missing a few. Lucas Digne is missing from left back, which mightn't sound like much, but he's got 3 goals and 4 assists this season, and Gomez missing midfield too is a concern. So for me, given West Ham, I think they're always better at home. I'd be leaning towards West Ham, but I'd have a look in the goal scoring markets. We all know Everton are quite bad on set pieces. Marco Silva teams are. They've conceded 8 goals from corners this season already. If you look at Fulham, who've conceded 70 goals, still only 8 of them were from corners. So Everton are just really, really bad on set pieces. Then you're talking about your centre backs maybe attacking the corner. So Diop is there at 40s. He's got 1 goal this season, but his partner Ogbonna is there at 50s, and he scored against Huddersfield last day out. So I'd be happy to have a punt on him. Up top as well is always a big question for West Ham. Arnautovic started against Huddersfield, scored for Austria during the international break, and Hernandez was over with Jimenez there in California and was playing in the early hours there of Wednesday morning. So don't think Hernandez is going to start, so you could have a look at Arnautovic for first goal. And just what we were saying earlier there about top 10, bottom 10 market, I think West Ham are actually a great bet there at 5-6 for the top 10.
Do you?
If
They've thrown in some real poor performances, haven't they?
Yeah, but at home, whether it's the fans gets them going, they're under pressure to perform. But if you look at the remaining games this season, right, if they beat Everton, they've got a 5-point cushion there in the top 10, so the bet is almost safe at that. They do have some tough away games, but like I said, they're playing away to the likes of Chelsea, Man United and Tottenham. But their home games, one of them's at home to Leicester, again win that. That's like a 6-pointer in this kind of market. They're at home to Southampton as well, second last game of the season, and then they're away to Watford last game of the season, and touchwood, Watford are possibly preparing for a cup final at that stage. So West Ham are 5-6. Like I say, if they win on Saturday night, the bet is more or less clicked, but they've a couple of other chances there as well.
Brilliant stuff, Jason. Thank you. Mark, what's your verdict on this one?
I'd just go for West Ham to win the game, I think, here. I suppose you could make a case and say that Everton are slightly better than West Ham, but I don't think there's a huge amount in it, and maybe not enough factored in here to home advantage, where West Ham have had their issues at the London Stadium, but not so much this season.
A lot of noise there this season. I was very impressed.
I mean, I think that generally speaking, they're happier with the team that they're watching. I mean, they've beaten Arsenal and Manchester United. They've drawn with Liverpool and Chelsea. They've won 4 of their last 5. I know the Huddersfield one was very late on, but they still won. Still eventually won. Arnautovic is now back, and I think he's been a miss. He wasn't playing properly, was he, as well, for a while when it looked like he wanted to get his move. Everton, I mean, they beat Chelsea just before the international break. I mean, they were horrendous in the first half. I know that they came back and won. One of them games where you're just not quite sure how they won. And, I thought that they were, even when they led against Newcastle, I thought they gave up too many chances in that game as well. I don't think there's much between the two teams. Therefore, I think probably West Ham have to be the bet at home.
Right, we've got 2 votes for West Ham. You lot have been politely bickering all through this postcast. Are you going to go for West Ham, Dan?
Full house, yeah, West Ham. Yeah, I think they're probably one of the best Premier League bets of the weekend, actually. It's a game where you've got a team that's very strong at home, as Mark's mentioned there, West Ham, against a team that you can't really rely on. Well, you can't rely on them, full stop, but away from home especially. They've lost 7 of their last 10 away games. The other 3 games, which are all wins, they're all against bottom 4 teams. So when they go away to decent sides, they're completely caving in, and they've got some goal threats, Everton, but I'm just not convinced by them, the whole balance of the team. I agree, the Chelsea performance was just really strange to be so poor first half, and then they were actually pretty decent second half, but you never know what you're going to get from them. West Ham are going to be strong at home usually, so I'd side with them.
Okay, 2 Premier League games on Sunday, and that rare species, a Monday night football match. They're coming up next.
Friends, or maybe more. Earn a 20 quid free bet for every friend you refer to Paddy Power, thanks to our Friends with Benefits programme. Log into your Paddy Power account and share your referral link to get started. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to the Racing Post Football Postcast. Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Dan Childs and Paddy Power's Jason Murphy, looking ahead to 2 live Premier League games on Sunday, the first of which starts at 2:05. It's Cardiff versus Chelsea, and it's on Sky Sports. And Jason, how do Paddy Power bet?
Yeah, we've gone Cardiff 7-1, the draw 10-3, and Chelsea 2-5.
2-5 Chelsea, Mark. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. You can maybe a bit of -1 Asian handicap, or if you want a bigger price, just a -1. I mean, Cardiff in their games against sort of the big teams, even at home, 5-0 Man City, 3-0 Tottenham when they were. The game was over after about 10 minutes. They did okay against Arsenal. It was much earlier on in the season when I don't think Arsenal was set. They still lost it 3-2. Man United put 5 on them. Chelsea, for all their problems that people seem to have about them away from home, they've played 7 of the bottom 8 away from home, and they've won all 7 of those games. I think they can complete the set here. Also, very interesting that Cardiff could be in a bad spot. If you have a look at the sort of odds of the games, that sort of, Southampton have got a game where they're only 2-1. Burnley are 21-10. There's a potential there for them to be in a really bad position come this game, where they may even need to win it. And I don't think they're set up for that. And I hope they get relegated as well, because I think that they're behaving appallingly over the Salah thing now, and so hopefully they go down.
Righty-ho, Dan.
Yeah, I think there's just the gap in class between these two is just too big. I think out of those 3 2-5s we've mentioned, this would be the one I will be most confident about for your accumulators. I'm going to go with Chelsea half-time, full-time. If they play anywhere near as good as they did at Everton in the first half, you'd fancy them to put a couple of goals on Cardiff. Cardiff, 8 games against the big 6, no points at all from those games. Chelsea against the bottom 8, 12 wins, 1 draw, no defeats. So they're ruthless against the teams in the lower part of the table. Comfortable win for Chelsea for me.
And Jason, what do you like?
Yeah, I'd back up what the lads are saying, and it's not even just the big teams. Like Cardiff have lost 2 of their last 3 at home, and they've let in 3 against Everton there and 5 against Watford. So if Chelsea show up, they're going to score goals. Chelsea defensively as well, like they've only conceded 33 goals in 30 games, and if you take out that 6-0 against Man City, that's 27 goals in 29 games, and in most seasons that's a title-winning defensive return. That's how good the Chelsea defence has been this season. Whereas if you look at Cardiff, they've only scored 27 goals in 30 matches. The 4 lads tied as joint top goal scorer with 4 goals this season, but 3 of them could be missing on Saturday. So where's the Cardiff goal going to come from? So Albamba's out, and there's doubts over Camisara and Patterson. So it's only Bobby Reid who's got 4 goals for them then. So for me, the bet here, and it looks a great price, is Chelsea to win 0. It's about 11-8.
Okay.
Warnock was slaughtering Camarasa, saying that he's got these foreign. He was like calling them these foreigners that are looking after him and deciding whether he's fit or not. I mean, he's been their best player, or certainly one of their best players.
I was thinking, you mentioned the Chelsea defence there. Can you think of a footballer, past or present, who grimaces as much as Azpilicueta? He's always he's just got this permanent look as if someone's got his nuts in a vice.
Did you ever see Packy Bunner kicking out a ball?
No, I must have done, but I don't remember seeing him grimace. Azpilicueta is always grimacing. I wonder if he does that in real life as well. Oh, could you just fetch the biscuits? It's really weird. Good player though. 4:30 Liverpool Tottenham live on Sky. Really cracking game this. Well looking forward to it. Let's see if the lads have got a bet for us. Jason, what's the match odds?
Yeah, so we've Liverpool 4-7, the draw 11-4, and Spurs 9-2.
Dan, what do you think?
I think Liverpool a bit short here, actually. You kind of always worry, because I'm a Spurs supporter. Am I getting a little bit, overexcited here? But I think Spurs will draw double chance. 11-8 is a bet. You've got Spurs have had a lot of problems with injuries and absences over key players. Now you've got Ali and Kane, fully fit. Bit of a worry over Son that he's had to go, halfway across the world again to play a friendly and that. But the game being on a Sunday gives him a little bit, a day's extra time to recover. So they should be quite close to full strength. Dyer's not really been a first choice recently anyway. Winks and Sissoko have been the midfield. Hopefully Winks will be fit. Liverpool, they've not been so great, have they? Since going into the international break, the 0-0 against Everton, 4-2 against Burnley, where they kind of scored late on, and the 1 win at Fulham was comfortable enough, but they're not really hitting the top gear at the moment, Liverpool. So I think at the prices, Spurs will draw a double chance. Does it for me.
Jason, what's your selection here?
Yeah, very similar to that. I mean, Liverpool, they're unbeaten in 36 games at home, and they haven't lost a game home or away since, the B team lost to Wolves in the Cup there back in January. But I think the market is overreacting to Spurs. They have lost 3 of their last 4 and should have lost against Arsenal if Aubameyang scores the penalty. But I think Spurs are just a really good team, and I don't agree with the prices here. I think Tottenham draw no bet at 7-2 is plenty of value in it, but it really is a massive game. If we presume that that Man City win on Saturday, which I think they will, I would go as far as to say that if Liverpool beat Tottenham on Sunday, I think they go on to win the league. The reason being just the momentum factor to get, and it's a short course now that we're on. We were only looking at like 6-7 games from that point in. Man City will be distracted by the FA Cup and the Champions League. Liverpool, I know, are in the Champions League, but they're playing Porto, which gives them a bit of breathing space. They should get that job done in the first leg. So I think at the prices, if you get me a free £100 on someone to win the Premier League, I'd be looking at Liverpool at 2-1. I really do think if they win this match on Sunday, they're going to get carried to the end. Whereas if they fail to win it, Man City then go and win midweek. Man City keep them at arm's length until the end of the season and win on the bridle.
Interesting. I must say I don't share that view. I think City will go on and win the title quite easily. But you're a better judge than me. Mark, what do you think of Jason's view on Liverpool first?
What, they'll win the league if they win the game?
Yeah.
Well, this is. I think this is their hardest game that they've got left. I mean, they've got Chelsea as well, I suppose, at home. But I think it'll probably be the biggest shift in odds. I mean, if they were to win this game, it's probably one of those where City, if they don't win, I think it is all over. I wouldn't have a strong opinion on if they win this game.
Who's going to win the game?
I think Liverpool will probably win the game. I wouldn't be looking at the match odds. So I thought Mane to score first. We've mentioned him a few times here, but I mean, he scored again for Senegal in the international break. 11 in 11. Salah without a goal in 7, which is his worst run since he arrived from Roma. I just think that Mane's as likely as anybody now to score for Liverpool. Aurier's a big doubt after getting injured for Ivory Coast, which means Kieran Trippier probably playing. Trippier's had a horrendous season, and a lot of teams are targeting him, and of course Mane plays on that side. And Tottenham have started so many big games slowly, including the reverse fixture here against Liverpool, which actually expected goals was 3.4 to 0.9 in Liverpool's favour. They destroyed them down the wings. Tottenham attacked from those areas and just got picked off. Tottenham have got obviously a goal threat in Kane. He's scored in 12 of his last 14 matches, so he's on a phenomenal run. I'm just not sure about the balance of the team for a game like this. If you have a look at Tottenham recently, they've lost away at Arsenal, they lost away at Chelsea, so I don't really see why they're going to pick anything up against Liverpool.
Okay. We were discussing Mane for the Golden Boot last week. There's a big disparity between him and Salah there, isn't there? So
there is. I mean, I suppose it's all about the penalty situation for that one and how many games you think Milner's going to play between now and the end of the season, because Milner kind of took that one off Salah against Fulham, didn't he? So if Milner plays a lot, then that does damage Salah's chances.
Okay, Monday Night Football returns, and that's good news indeed. It's an 8 p.m. game at the Emirates. Arsenal versus Newcastle. Jason Murphy, what's the latest betting? And then tell us where the betting value is.
Yeah, so we've Arsenal 2-5, we've the draw 7-2, and Newcastle 7-1. Aaron Ramsey's a doubt for Arsenal. Fabian Schär's out for Newcastle, and there's a doubt over Lascelles as well. But Newcastle have plenty of centre backs there, like Kieran Clark and Fernandes there. So looking at head-to-heads between the two teams, the last 6 meetings has been won by exactly 1 goal. Arsenal winning 5 of them, and Newcastle the other one. So for me, I think it's going to be a tight game. Newcastle aren't like Bournemouth; they're not going to go there and get bet 5-1. The match prices look about right to me, so I'm kind of sitting on the fence. But look, if you fancy Arsenal to win it, then Arsenal by exactly 1 goal at 11-4 is the bet. Or if you think Newcastle and Benitez can do what they normally do and hold out, then you can get double chance Newcastle to draw at 2-1. But if I was weighing it up and you offered me those 2 selections at those prices, then I'd go Arsenal by exactly a goal at 11-4.
God, another 2-5 shot. There's loads of them this weekend, isn't there, Mark?
There are, yeah. I mean, this is a tricky one, really. I mean, I do think Arsenal will win. I was looking at maybe just splitting correct scores, sort of going on to what Jason was saying there about the 1 goal. I was thinking, because Newcastle lost by 1 goal at Man City, Tottenham, Man United and Chelsea. I was looking at 2-1 and 3-2, just like little dabbles on the correct score market. That plays to Arsenal's strengths, Aubameyang and Lacazette in the forwards. I'm still not sold on them defensively, even against United when they kept that clean sheet. I mean, United had their chances in that game. And Newcastle, with Rondon playing as well as what he is doing, Almiron coming in and just sort of perking them up, and the fact that the game's not until Monday, so some of those that have been sort of around the world should be back in time and sort of full of fitness. They may be able to carry a little bit of a goal threat. So I think Arsenal to win by 1 goal is one way of looking at it, but I was just thinking correct score dabbles.
Dan Childs.
I was looking at sort of 2 possible bets. The Arsenal to win by 1 goal was attractive, but I'm going to side with Arsenal to win under 3.5 goals. Playing to the Newcastle being really, really tight generally away from home. I mean, their total goals they've conceded away in the Premier League is 20 goals, which is fewer than 3 of the big 6. They've got a fantastic defensive record away from home. They've lost to a lot of the big 6, but a lot of those games, as Mark's mentioned, have been tight. Having said that, in terms of Arsenal winning the game, their home record has got to be really respected. I mean, outside of Liverpool and Man City, it's the next best home record in the league. So I fancy him to win, but in a low-scoring game. So Arsenal and under 3.5 goals at a shade of odds against.
OK, let's get the naps. I'm going to go first. I don't want anyone nicking. Preston, 5-4 at Reading. Mark?
Sheffield United at home to Bristol City. They've won 8 in a row in the league at home of the Blades. 7 of those have been to nil. 8 clean sheets in 9. The one failure in that was the 3-3 against Villa when they were 3-0 up and absolutely cruising. Bristol City lost most of their big away games at Norwich, Leeds and West Brom. 2 points from the last 5. Looks like classic Lee Johnson, where his team go on these sort of amazing runs, both good and bad.
OK. Dan?
I'd go Gillingham, odds against, at home to Rochdale in League
Going
1.
well, Gillingham, aren't they?
They are going well. Been a reason behind it as well. Since Wigan loanee Leo da Silva Lopez has gone in there, added a bit of extra quality. In his 7 starts for Wigan, for Gillingham, they won 4, drawn 2, lost 1. One of those draws was 2-2 at Luton, where they thoroughly deserved to get the
full
result.
value, apparently.
Full value.
News editor Scuts is a Gillingham fan, and he went and he said they were really good.
And even the last game at Wimbledon had had 3 wins in a row. Were really on a roll at the time, and they've gone to Wimbledon, gone behind, and then still won 4-2. So they're playing really well. Rochdale, since Brian Barry Murphy's gone in, they've had 3 home games and got 7 points out of 9. This away game is tougher, and their defence is the worst in the league. They're conceding on average 2 goals per game in League One. So you can't have their defence. Gillingham for me.
Preston, Sheffield United, Gillingham, and for the 4-timer, Jason?
Yeah, we're going to go for Chelsea to win 2-0 just for the reasons I outlined earlier. Chelsea will score goals. They will win this game. Cardiff just have been very poor at home, especially against the big teams. But like I said, they've conceded 3 against Everton, 5 against Watford, and also Chelsea defensively are very, very good. And Cardiff, they're struggling for goal scorers. They're going to be missing most of their joint top goal scorers this weekend. So Chelsea to win 2-0 at 11-8.
You're going to be enhancing for us?
Well, just having a quick look here, it comes up to about 18-1. So we'll have a look and we'll stick up the enhancement on site. Definitely, yeah.
Jolly good. That'll be up later on this afternoon, will it?
It'll be.
Where do they find that? Under specials?
Yeah, we try and place it front and centre, but if you go, whether you're on the phone or on the desktop, if you go to the football specials tab, you'll definitely see it in there, but we'll try and put it front and centre as well.
Well done, lads. Thank you very much indeed. Mark, so no football last week. You went to Venice. What would you give it out of 10?
8.5, yeah.
You didn't have high expectations.
I didn't. No, it was really good. The weather was glorious. The food was really good, and the drinks.
What about the architecture and the canals and the scenery?
The canals were all right. Yeah, we did the gondolas. Went on a river bus thing. St Mark's Square don't do it for me. I mean, once I've seen one palace, I've seen them all from the outside, to be honest.
It stink, a lot of people say.
No, it only stinks in the summer. I'll tell you what did stink, when I sat down in the bar and they gave you a menu and it was €18 for half a lager. I mean, I don't consider myself to be remotely tight, but I just said to the wife, no, we're not having that. I'm not paying €36 for 2 halves of lager.
Isn't it? So where are you this weekend? Venice to Rochdale.
No. I'm going to the new Spurs Stadium to see this Legends game. So, but before that, I'm working in the morning. Got plenty to do in the morning. It's my niece's first birthday party, and I'm dressing up as Upsy Daisy from In the Night Garden.
If you'd asked me to price up what you were doing this weekend.
I mean, like that, in terms of sort of out of my comfort zone. We couldn't be sort of further away from
That
it.
is
But
superb.
she was struggling for people to. Nobody wanted to do it. I thought, well,
You could have got Eagle Piggle.
do you know what? No, I think the her husband's brother is Ickle Pickle. I'm Upsy Daisy.
That's fantastic.
Well, I wouldn't.
About
Fantastic.
taking one for the team.
Oh, fantastic! It's not the word I would use.
Yeah, but
yeah.
brownie points wise,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
absolutely
So,
enormous,
I mean,
isn't it?
when she's looking back at sort of stuff people have done for her, over the years, hopefully that'll rank high.
Yeah, very much so.
she's
Well,
got-
she won't remember it, will she?
No, but she will see the pictures. She's got to pay for the funeral. She's got to pay for my funeral inside. So I'm doing that.
Dan, I dread to ask, what are you doing this week?
No, pretty box standard really.
Chris out in the fence.
No, working Saturday and then Mother's Day lunch, on Sunday. So not.
And how was your dad's 80th? That was recent.
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
it?
really
Yeah?
nice. Yeah, enjoyed
Really
it.
good.
yeah.
Jason, have you got a fun weekend lined up?
Yeah, starts Thursday evening. There's kind of a work thing. We're going to, it's known as Skill Zone, so there's like 10 different games you do in it and see who comes out on top on that and a few
What
drinks
sort of
afterwards.
games?
Taking penalties, hitting conversions, bit of chip and putting it as well. There's a wall hang, a wall climb. So like I said, it's 10 events, you score points on it, and there's lads pricing up who's going to win it here.
You fav?
There's lads quoting prices, but there's no point quoting if you won't lay a bet, you know what I mean?
No, quite.
Yeah, and then Friday I'm off the weekend, so heading to a concert in Dublin Friday night out in Dublin, which will be good.
Who are you going to see?
It's a band called Key West. Was meant to see them a couple of times, but for whatever reason, it was either there were warm up acts and you were late getting there, or they didn't show up. So hopefully third time lucky tomorrow.
God, that'd be nice if they do show up. Excellent. And any football, any sport?
We've a Carlow Cup match. We've only won that cup once before, so we're playing early doors, 11 o'clock Sunday morning. So like I said, it's good to get out and kick a ball. It's the only time you don't have the phone in the hand. It's good just get out and kick a ball.
Definitely right. Well, I shall be sampling the best Premier League ground and the worst in the coming days. So I'll be in the Arthur Waite for Huddersfield, and then on Wednesday I've managed to blag my way into the new White Hart Lane for the Palace Spurs game. So I'm very, very excited about that. That's going to be good. Okay, thank you very much indeed for listening or watching. Maddie is back tomorrow for the weekend racing, and then we've got Racing Postcast on Monday. Got racing every day next week actually, because it's, well, not quite every day, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because it's Aintree. We'll have golf on Wednesday. I'm back next Thursday with the lads for another Racing Post football postcast. Hopefully you can join us for them, and don't forget, if you do enjoy the shows, please rate, review and subscribe however you're listening.
Everything is better when it's bigger. Paddy Power's Same Game Multi allows you to combine a number of selections from a single match into one big bet. Check out the Same Game Multi tab and get building your bet. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.